Hi guys, welcome back to episode 3 of Chelsea's writing journey. In this episode, I am going to be sharing with you some pieces from my third book, and it's called Book of Emerald. So in the previous 2 videos, I read about the book that I wrote for Freeing the Goddess Within and Book of Roses. So I'm going to read my about the book for Book of Emerald because I feel it really encapsulates what my writing experience was at the time. So this is it. Akin to Book of Rose, I put pen to paper and wrote Book of Emerald in a beautiful journal that I found while shopping at a local stationery store. It seems that beautiful journals and I are soulmates, and I love it. At the beginning of the journal, I wrote a prayer that was quite simple in its nature, a prayer that I experience, enjoy, and thrive in the clarity of who I am. Book of Emerald was precisely filled with the heart of these sentiments. I felt myself immersed in this brilliant diamond of clarity, and everywhere I looked, every mirror that I looked into, there was the shining warmth of the clarity of who I am. I was fully immersed and savoring in it all, for it was experienced from the raw nature of who I am. It was sacred and holy, and it was abundant in its sacred and holy nature. There is an ever-burning flame within my heart that I am ever devoted to, and writing Book of Emerald was a sacred and intimate experiencing of this ever-burning flame within me. I give life to my ever-burning innate devotion to the truth of who I am, and honoring that truth by giving it its voice. As you read Book of Emerald, I am with you, honoring your unique truth, celebrating the unique clarity of who you are. As you read Book of Emerald, my prayer is that you discover your unique and innate brilliant diamond. As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy, and I will see you at the end. Wow. I remember writing Book of Emerald in the midst of that energy, and I feel that it was something that I did not want to move forward from because it felt so amazing. It felt so good. And I knew that I had more of this inspiration coming in, more of these experiences to come after. But it was such a special experience that the pieces that I was writing, I just wanted to sit and savor in it, and I felt that I wanted to just carry Book of Emerald with me everywhere I was going. I just wanted to be in the energy of those pieces all the time. And this is what Book of Emerald looks like. And yes, I got some Naruto stickers after, which I really love. Oh my god. It makes me feel to cry. Anyways, Book of Emerald. So again, I chose some random numbers because as I was writing, I was saying for Book of Rose as well, I didn't name the pieces per se, but I numbered them, and it was the same for Book of Emerald. So now I'm going to read some pieces from Book of Emerald for you guys, and like I said, sit back, relax, and enjoy. So the first The first random number that I chose, the first lucky number is 127. 127. 127. Here we are. So this piece, it's called Goddess's Beloved. Her heart would melt 1,000 times in the warmth of her beloved's love. Her spirit would soar in 1,000 skies in her beloved's inspirations. She who has discovered and written the soul of her truth, she who laid her soul bare to her truth, her prayer to thee, have all and everything of me. I am yours, I am yours, I am yours. Okay guys, we gotta pause this video. Her beloved would be a living testament to her truth. And then at the end, in brackets, I have a phrase, a French phrase, La vie est belle, life is beautiful. And at the time when I was writing Book of Emerald, I found this small bottle of perfume, and that was the name of the perfume. And I loved the phrase because I felt how special everything that I was experiencing at the time was. And not only was I feeling this and writing it, but I was deeply aware of the beauty of these experiences, how special it was for me to just so intimately experience this. And I started to write that phrase at the end of a lot of my pieces because it just I just felt so much appreciation for what I was experiencing that it felt like a beautiful phrase that really like summed up everything for me. Yeah. So the next piece that I'm going to read, it's the next piece that I'm going to read, it's lucky number 65. 65. I literally closed off the file. 65. 65. It's called Emerald Rose. She was a pink rose. She was a pink rose. She was a pink rose, and he painted her petals in his emerald spirit. He painted his rose in his emerald spirit. She is an emerald rose. She is his emerald rose. Wow. So while I was, again, I have so many thoughts, so many feelings about this, but at that time, like I was saying, there was such an influx of energy, and while I was writing, I was also really focused on managing the energy. And by managing it, I mean just allowing it to flow in a way that really allowed me to enjoy my day-to-day experiences of it. And I realized that it was moving it was moving very rapidly. I felt that I was experiencing this expansion of my soul. It was almost like the moment I felt that not just feeling that fire within myself, but also that fire to focus on this fire. I just lost my train of thought, guys. I just lost my train of thought, but it be like that sometimes, you know. Right, so I was experiencing this expansion at such like a rapid rate, and the energy was just flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing, and it was like I had to focus on really finding my own unique rhythm with it, because as soon as I felt it, I really had to surrender and give way to it immediately, and then I would feel good after that. I would feel really good. I would have new clarity. Like, I would have clarity that felt so full, like this is it. Like, I could never feel anything beyond this. And then like an hour, 2 hours later, it was another surge of energy, another surge of inspiration that again I just had to give way to, and I just had to surrender to it. And it wasn't even like from one day to the next, it was within the same day I was having this rapid expansion. And so I feel that that was such an integral part of my experiences. Aside from just sitting and writing, I felt like I got such a high from just focusing on not just experiencing the energy, but really managing it into my day-to-day experience, so that I could really get the most out of it and really allow it to flow in its fullest capacity. And that thought was inspired. Well, I felt that after I read this piece, because I felt after I completed Book of Rose, it was like I became a new person, and inspiration was flowing and I was expanding, but I viscerally felt entirely new. And that's why Book of Rose was special, but also moving into the energy after that and writing Book of Emerald, that was so special because I was aware of how new I felt, how and new in the sense that I just felt more of me come alive, more of who I felt myself to be deep inside me. I just felt it more rooted in my life, and that was just a really I felt empowered, which is really beautiful. So the next piece that I am going to read, it's lucky number 43. Lucky number 43. What if these numbers were like the winning lotto numbers? And I literally chose 127 as the first number. So probably not, guys. So don't do that. Don't play these numbers. Okay, so 43. Let's see. So 43, it's called my feet are starting to cramp. That's not the name of the piece, guys. Okay, So 43, it's called pleasure. He made me realize that another's ecstasy was simply and richly my pleasure. He awoke within me my own innate desire to feel pleasure. And upon this awakening, I discovered that life seeked only to pleasure me. I discovered that I was a receiver of life's pure pleasure. I discovered that life intimately knew my pleasure spots. I discovered that life intimately knew the pleasures of my heart and the heart of my pleasures. Pleasure. And I feel at the time that was a word that I really connected with. It just felt, it connected me to my intimate experience. It made my experiences even more intimate at the time. Pleasure. He made me realize that another's ecstasy was simply and richly my pleasure. And that was very powerful for me, because it flows from what I was saying before, the energy that I was feeling every day, the influx of energy, the expansion, and it was an experience by itself, focusing on managing that energy. And it's kind of funny to say managing this pure energy, managing this divine energy, but it was really allowing myself to flow in sync with it, by allowing myself to just surrender to it. And it at the time it was like I felt like I was experiencing like the dial turned up on a lot of these wonderful emotions, right? So like ecstasy and exhilaration, and it was so often, and again, like it ties in to me wanting to experience the fullness of who I am. And when the experiences started flowing, you know, part of me, it's like, wow, like this is a lot. I'm experiencing this like all the time, but then it's like that's the whole point of it. Like this is who I am, and I'm allowing myself to allow it to flow and experiencing it, and that's amazing in and of itself. And I started telling myself at the time that this unique energy of who I am, this extraordinary energy of who I am, it's ordinary, right? Because I'm literally just being myself. I'm literally just being who I am. And by saying it was ordinary, it was not undermining what I was feeling. It was the opposite for me, in that it just allowed me to realize that I wanted to know myself, and I allowed that to happen, and now it's here and I get to experience that, and it naturally becomes ordinary. It naturally becomes part of my day-to-day experience. And of course, like I said in the last line, I discovered that life intimately knew the pleasures of my heart and the heart of my pleasures. And so just going deeper into the clarity, it's like this energy that I'm feeling, it's so divinely orchestrated. It feels so infinite in the moment. And at the same time, I could feel how specific specifically orchestrated it was for me in that moment. It was like part of my infinite flowed into my life for me to experience. And it just made me realize how the simplicity of my role in it was just to allow it to happen and to experience it. And it also made me realize that not just that I wanted to intimately experience who I am and to intimately experience my life, but who I am, it's already intimately known beyond that which I could even perceive. And so there's a simplicity about it, that the intention feels so grand and so infinite, but to receive it, it's so simple because it's divinely orchestrated just for me. It's knowing that I am known, and the absolute says, like, here you are to experience to experience the beauty of who you are, to experience the unique energy of who you are. We already know that, and yeah, it's just here for you to dive into and to explore as much as you want to.